Coming up on this episode of Brody Even Talk Pinball, we're going to interview Ben Crane to talk about why the remakes of Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars don't play like the originals.
We're going to Expo, and we've got news and updates.
We're going to cover our top 5 rage-inducing pinball machines. And then finally, Kevin,
we are going to review X-Men.
All then more coming right up.
Double super jackpot!
I need a ramp. I need a loop. I want targets I can hit. I need the scoop. I need a double super jackpot in my life. That's right.
What's going on, guys? It is Monday, October 2nd. It's hoodie weather, if you can see that. Which we need to start selling that, by the way.
Yeah.
Sidebar to Kevin. We'll get on that.
Yes.
But welcome. Sorry, first of all, that there wasn't a September podcast. We sort of got backed up. And
We're real close, though. We're really
close.
close.
We actually added, we're doing a new tournament in Buffalo, a monthly tournament on Mondays. So it kind of pushed us off. So this is, quote unquote, the September podcast. But the good news is, as soon as we're done with Expo, we'll do a podcast right after that because I'm sure there's going to be a lot to talk about.
Oh, man, we've got to have Rudy introduce us. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's Nick Lane. It's Kevin Manny of Buffalo Pinball.
Oh, thanks, Rudy.
Oh, my God. Thank God for that.
It wouldn't be the same without a little Rudy to start it up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Rudy. Much appreciated. I like the fact that he wears his sunglasses when he does it, too.
Well, he's cool, you know?
Yeah, he is cool. All right. Let's start off. Let's get the business out of the way. We got some partners we want to thank. They are the folks who help make this podcast possible. Thanks to Comet Pinball, maker of LEDs. Actually going to be redoing one of my Fireball Classic with their LEDs, hopefully this weekend. Really exciting life I live. Double Danger Pinball, they make awesome pinball shirts, including ours, which if you type in Buffalo, you get 15% off. That's ddpinball.com. Pinball Life, pinballlife.com. If you have a pinball machine, your pinball machine's going to break. You need to go to Pinball Life to get parts for it at some point. Awesome customer service, and they also have some pretty cool mods you can get as well. Jersey Jack Pinball, maker of the most beautiful pinball machines on the planet. Hobbit, Wizard of Oz, Dialed-In, and the soon-to-be released game in a little over a week, which we're excited to find out about. Titan Pinball, titanpinball.com. So Titan makes silicone rings to replace your old classic rubber rings. The cool thing about Titan is the fact that you can get a ton of different colors, even clear, so you can really mod your game up and make it look nice, color-coordinated. They have a discount code. It's 10% off when you type in Buffalo. Notice the running theme that our discount code is Buffalo.
These guys are smart.
Community Beer Works, who does not have a discount code on beer, which is BS. But if you come to Buffalo, hit them up. They love us. They support us. They have pinball, and they have delicious beer, so it's a match made in heaven for us. A new sponsor for the podcast, Pin Stadium Lights, pinstadium.com. Kevin, why don't you chime in and tell us why you're excited? Because you got one coming.
Yeah, so I haven't seen it in person yet. I've seen pictures and videos online. It looks pretty awesome. They're basically these lights that go down the rail of your machine and light up the whole thing and make it look great. I specifically picked it for the darkest game I have, which is Swords of Fury. It's kind of hard to light up because it's got all these different levels and stuff. So I'm really excited to get that and put it in the machine. Again, if you go to the pinstadium.com, use coupon code Buffalo to save 10%.
Our friends Pinball Arcade. Pinball Arcade is what got myself and a lot of people into pinball. They make virtual recreations of real pinball machines. They just released Fathom. So check it out, man. It's on iOS, Android, Steam, Xbox, PS4, Game Boy Original.
Yeah.
Not advanced or 3D.
I think it's on the 2600.
Yeah. And then finally, last but not least, tiltcycle.com. If you don't know, Tilt Cycle makes upcycled pinball art. So Dan Burfield out in Pittsburgh, PA, will take old pinball parts, playfields, backglasses, you name it, and he will turn it into a wonderful work of art. I've got mine in my game room. I've got a nightlight. Check it out. He's got a generous coupon code of 20% off when you type in Buffalo. That's tiltcycle.com. Well, you're jumping in.
That
early
is
with
the
that.
more you know. Yeah.
Okay. You got a trigger finger.
I was
You're
excited.
A little late on Rudy. A little early on the more you know.
That's
okay.
right. We got to keep people on their toes. You can't get too much into too much of it.
All right. Why don't you roll this along? Kevin's going to be doing the interview. I'm going to pass the mic over to our guest Ben Crane.
All right. So, Ben, welcome to the podcast.
Oh, thanks, Kevin.
Yeah. Get right up there.
Close here.
Yeah. So, I first got to know Ben when you came over with James to buy one of the 8 games he bought from me. And so, we've played pinball together. Now you're in the Rochester League and things like that. And then I saw on Pinside yesterday, I think I noticed that you had started this thread. I can pull it up here so the folks at home can see. But there's a thread called Why Remakes Don't Play Right Like Originals. And following the Buffalo Pinball Summer Open, one of the players that came out, Tim Sexton, a.k.a. Tim Balls on Twitch, he was remarking that the flippers did not feel like the original Attack from Mars flippers on the Attack from Mars remake. So you went in here. So tell us about what you did.
So what I did is I'd kind of noticed, I don't think it doesn't have quite the same feel as the original. I'm not as good a player as Tim Sexton, but certainly it felt a little bit different to me. And I think on Saturday morning, I was out for a run and listening to the Head podcast, and they were saying they thought the timing was off, but no one had really proved it. And I thought this is something that we could actually check objectively. And so what I did was I got an oscilloscope. So basically what that does is allows you to look at voltage in real time. And I hooked one of the probes onto, and it shows this in the thread, onto the switch on the opto. On these games, it's actually, when you push the button, it moves a little plastic piece, which triggers 2 optos, switch 1 and switch 2, which then sends a signal to the computer, which then tells the coil to trigger. So I put one on the opto switch and the other on the coil, and you can see how it's set up there at the beginning of the thread, and then I did it a little bit different way later in the thread, but both ways you find it the same way. And then you turn on the game and basically do like you're going to play a game, and when you push the flipper, then you'll see, and this happens very fast, but you can set the oscilloscope so once the switch, the flipper button is pressed, then it saves that point as the starting point, and then looks in, for 10 milliseconds or after that, and shows you what the tracing would look like. So then you can see when exactly the coil fires. And what I found is it varied between about 1.5 milliseconds and about 5.5 milliseconds.
Okay, so what does that mean for the pinball player?
So what it means is when you press the button, it's not at the same time that the flipper actually gets activated. It can be any time between 1.5 milliseconds and 5.5 milliseconds. So that sort of showed that the variation was there. So then I took my original, which I have right next to my Medieval Madness remake, Heaven Attack from Mars original, and did the same thing. And there was essentially no delay. It was much less than a millisecond. And there was no variation that I could pick up. And then I looked at I've got 2 Jersey Jack games. I've got Wizard of Oz and Hobbit. I checked on the Hobbit. Essentially, there's no delay on that game either. I didn't check on all the different Stern systems I have, but I checked on the newest one, which is the Star Wars LE. And on that one, there's a very slight delay. I think it's about 2 to 3 milliseconds, and it doesn't seem to vary from time to time.
So it's consistent.
So
That's the difference.
Like it's consistent. Yes.
So a lot of the discussion in the thread originally was about, well, humans can't perceive that difference of time, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, I don't think anyone perceived exactly that the delay was that short, but I think a lot of people perceived that something wasn't right and the shots maybe weren't as accurate. And there's been a lot of analysis on that thread about how it's different than reaction time, how you're predicting where the ball is, and people have calculated, it's 1/4 of an inch off, perhaps, when you hit the flipper, and that makes a big difference on which direction the ball goes.
Yeah, so the main difference is even though you're hitting the button at the same time, the flipper's not firing consistently at the same time.
Exactly. So people, I think there's always a delay in every system because the switch doesn't happen the exact instant you touch the button. You have to start pushing it a little bit, and then at some point along there, the switch is going to close.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be consistent for that game every time you flip. So that's why when you go to your friend's house and they have the same game, maybe it takes you a few games before you really figure out how to find the shots and whatnot.
Yeah, because maybe the switch gap is a little bit different than you're used to, or the coils are a little floppier than you're used to, or something like that.
Exactly, but at least it's consistent for that particular game.
Right.
And here the problem with these remakes is it's not consistent for the game. It varies over a range of a few milliseconds.
So what's causing the delay, do you think?
What I think is happening is in the emulator, they probably are sampling at some rate. So my guess is it's probably around 200 hertz, which would be 200 times a second. They're looking to see if the button is pressed. So if you press the button right after it looked, then it has to wait till the next time before it sees that it's been pressed.
Okay.
And so because of that, it's going to vary. If you press it right before it checks, then there's probably some processing delay a little bit, and that's the 1.5 second one. But if you press it right after it checks, then you have to wait for it to check again, and then it's like 5.5 seconds.
So, and this is a result of like them using emulation instead of transistors, or like how does that work?
Probably, yeah. Ben Heck knows obviously more about this than I do, and he had a nice post on there saying there was two possibilities. One is this works with a little Unix computer, so he thought one possibility is the Unix operating system in there, and these Beaglebone Blacks is actually using some of the resources of the processor that isn't controllable. And the other issue is the issue I pointed out just now, which is it's like a sampling issue. So
right.
if it was something as a sampling issue, maybe they could change it in software, so instead of 200 times a second, it's 1,000 times a second. So there'd still be a delay, but it would be much less, or maybe 100,000 times a second, or just change that so it samples much more.
Right. So you have the folks from CGC like actually reaching out to you now, or
yeah,
something,
so
right?
I actually I sent a message to Doug Score at CGC, and he actually wrote back to me, and I think they're taking the issue seriously and have some engineers looking at it. And one of the engineers wrote back to me to want me to check some other things. So I think CGC is taking it pretty seriously, and it sounds like they're gonna fix it, which I'm excited about.
That's awesome. So that I'll draw our attention to the poll we got going on here. Where'd I put it? I moved everything around. So you can go if you want to vote. This is not what I wanted. I think I messed up my thing. Yep, I did. Oh well. Go to bit.ly/bro remake, and that will take you to the poll. And on the poll, you can vote for whether you want to buy which would you rather have, an original Medieval Madness and Attack from Mars, or a remake? And you can vote based on what you're hearing here from Ben, the possibility of a solution. A lot of people like to have that brand new game, whether or not some players don't notice the difference because they just play on the fly and they're not super high level competitive players, so they'd much rather have the nice big screen and the brand new game and stuff like that. But you can go and vote, and we'll see how that works out for the day. So you talked about the other manufacturers and the kind of results they have, but there's a little delay on Stern, but it was consistent at least.
Yeah, so the Stern, I looked at it just briefly because somebody asked. So the Stern, the new system works differently, is that there's no like end of stroke switch. Okay. And so the way it modulates, it has a whole bunch of pulses you can see. So depending on how frequent or how wide the pulses are, it seems to control the power that way. So you can't, it's not an exact, onset time. And so that's why I think it's a little bit different looking at that one. So I looked at it briefly. I think, it may be something that needs to be looked at more closely if people are seriously interested in that. But the delay seemed at least consistent in that one.
Right. So it's something you can adjust to.
Yeah, so it's something you can adjust to.
Did you try any Williams games at all, or do you have any? Besides,
I have an Attack from Mars,
yeah.
And I have a Monster Bash. But I think since they're both WPC 95, I just assume they're both the same.
Oh, okay, right. I was listening to the head-to-head guys today, and they talked a little bit more about this on their podcast today, and they were talking about the Phantom Flip on Monster Bash, and if there was that delay on the Phantom Flip because it doesn't always work as it is. And if it was so much more random on a remake, it would be like almost impossible to get it to work right.
So I think the way the Phantom Flip works is it actually kind of watches where the ball goes. It can sense where the ball is going down the in lane, and then when you flip, and then it knows where the ball went based on what targets. And so it actually adjusts as you play.
Right.
And so if there was a delay in it, it would be able to correct for that.
Okay.
Now, if it was a variable delay, it may not be able to correct. But the Phantom Flip, as you know, isn't 100%, and sometimes it likes to shoot things up that left ramp and start the multi-ball before you want to, because you want to get more monsters going. So I think a lot of players don't really enjoy the Phantom Flip that much. But.
Yeah, you'll see it off in a lot of competitive play to begin with anyways. But so that's all the questions I had. Is there anything else from your findings that you want to share, or what's this experience been like since you posted this?
I just posted this on Saturday. So, I think it's been, I think in general, when you see anybody post something they don't like about a game or something like that, or some problem with the game, there's always like sort of a camp that owns the game and is invested in it, and another camp that, especially with the remakes, there's like, the people who own the originals and the remakes, and they're kind of, there's an ongoing argument which is better. I own one of each, so I guess I'm not really solidly in either camp.
Right.
But I think people have, I think it's been a really interesting discussion and a really interesting thread, and there's a lot of people who've raised some interesting points. There's some people that probably don't seem to really understand the issue. But I think it's been actually a pretty good thread. So.
Yeah, and if you can get if Chicago Gaming's looking into resolving it, then that's the big.
I think it's a win
big
for
win,
everybody,
yeah.
because I know there's been a lot of things where people raised issues and a hard time getting issues getting addressed, not just with Chicago Gaming, but with Stern. There's been situations like that.
Yeah,
so it's
for sure. All right, well, thanks for joining us. Ben's going to hang out for the remainder of the show. Feel free to chime in when you feel like you got something to add to what we're talking about, but we're going to go ahead and get into news and updates. So
Cool. By the way, the moral of the story is if you have a remake, it's trash, get rid of it.
That's the more you know right there. I played it too soon. Damn. All right. So we're going to Expo. We finally announced that.
We've been sitting on that for a while. Kevin and I have been hinting at it, though. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
So if you figured it out, good for you.
So is Jersey
Nailed
Jack. Keith Johnson on Twitter, I think it was, said something about how they're revealing Game Over for at Expo like a week ago.
Oh, okay.
So
All
he didn't talk about us streaming it, but
okay. But they knew that they were going to reveal it, right? Or it was just speculation.
It had been kind of speculation until Keith Johnson said something about it. I heard that on another podcast.
Okay. So they didn't officially confirm it. I'm with you.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
All
So
right.
this is official confirmation. I got the okay to post yesterday. Nick and I will be going to Pinball Expo in Chicago, and we will be live streaming the reveal of Jersey Jack's 4th pinball machine, which is to be determined. But there's a whole bunch of speculation about what game it is. We don't know. We can't say definitively what game it is or not. But either way, we're going to go. They're going to do the presentation at 8:30 p.m. Central. That's 9:30 p.m. Eastern. Or if you can't
What is that specific?
I don't know. Go to google.com and type in what is 8:30 p.m. Central in whatever time zone you live in.
We need a bro app, and it converts to your time zone when we're streaming.
Inevitably, whenever I post about a thread or about a stream that people are really interested in, they're like, "What's the time zone?" And I'm like, if only there was a way to find out. You guys have the power. I believe in you. You can do it. So, yeah, it's going to be my first expo and yours too, right?
Yeah. I've been every year we kind of talk about going, and every year we're like, well, we don't have the time, or there's something else going on, or there's the cost, but now we have a good reason to go down there, so we will be there.
Doesn't get much better than that.
We saved it for the right time.
We
though.
did, yeah.
It did work out nicely.
And by the right time, you mean going to the Day Fix seminar on Friday morning, right?
Yeah, I can't wait. That's why I'm going out there. Basically, this is a ruse to watch Dave Fix's seminar on. It's not What's in My Toolbox. We missed that one, unfortunately. It's schematics, right?
How to read schematics with Day Fix.
Okay.
10 a.m. Friday morning. Be there.
I want to hear the one. Is it a feature or is it a problem?
Is it in the manual? So what else are we going to do out there? We're going to play in the tournament.
We're going to play in the tournament. Yeah, that's the other thing. So we're not flying back until like 10 o'clock that night.
On Sunday.
So we're going to be exhausted, but we're going to do the tournament. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yep. We're going to, what else are we doing? We're getting in on Wednesday.
We're going to do the
hang out.
Stern tour, right?
Yep. Stern tour. Hopefully get to Pinball Life on
Pinball
Thursday.
Life. Yeah. We want to check out Total Nuclear Annihilation.
Yep. That'll be cool. And I don't know. I haven't been to Expo, obviously, but it used to be a lot of like homebrew and custom games would go there. I hope they do that again this year, because I'd like to see like the real crazy like one-off games and things like that. So
Yeah.
like Buffy and stuff like that you never see anywhere.
So we're doing 100% pinball things, right?
All the pinball stuff.
Okay. We're like OD on pinball.
Yeah. And then we're going to come home and pass out.
So if you guys are going there, feel free to give us a shout out. It'd be good to see you guys.
Yes. We might be hanging out in the Pin Stadium booth at some point.
That's right. That'll be fun.
Yeah, he asked us to come do a meet and greet, which we think is weird, but we're happy to do it.
If one person shows up, it's one person that came to Jay's meet and greet.
That's right. We got Jay beat. Awesome. So, yeah, we're really looking forward to Expo. If you guys are going to be there, I know a couple folks have said they're going to be there if Ghost Thruster is around in Discord earlier. He was saying he's going to be there, so we'll get to meet him. So awesome. So let's move into some personal updates. So I'll get started with. I picked up a new game, and you were surprised to see it in the garage when you showed up at my house.
You kept the lid on it. I'm impressed.
I waited for the big reveal, and Nick just walked in and saw this big pink hunk of beautiful pinball machine.
It's no Bad Girls, but it looks good.
Known as
Bone
Busters.
Yeah. Kevin's going with Ghost theme. That's his thing now.
Totally not Ghostbusters. It's Bone Busters.
It is. It probably plays better.
I'm sorry, Destroyer of Worlds. It was not Space Jam. I'm sorry to get your hopes up, but nope. It's
That's cruel, Kevin.
Look at him.
You set him up for that too.
I did. Wildcat.
He's torturing you at this point.
Yeah, Wildcat's really excited for Bone Busters. He unsubscribes. I love it. So that's out in the other room. That was one of those Craigslist adventures where it shows up on Craigslist. I see it like as soon as it's posted. I happen to be the first one to message him. He said he got like a whole ton of emails, but I was the first one to message him. I called him. He said, "Come on over." I went over that night, went and checked it out, and hauled it home. It's missing the topper, unfortunately, so it doesn't have the skull. This is a good story though. He said, so this is like a motorcycle guy, and he said, like 15 years ago, they took the topper off the machine and stuck it on the front of a motorcycle.
I saw where that was going. It does not surprise me in the least, Kevin.
Yes. So somewhere out there is a motorcycle with a topper from a Bone Busters on it. What else? It was dirty as hell. I started cleaning it. It needs. So maybe somebody in chat can help me out here, or if you're listening in podcast, email talkpinball@gmail.com if you have a solution. But when I turn it on, it starts up, plays music. I can plunge the ball. It comes down. I can get maybe one flip, and then it resets. If there's a thing in a Gottlieb game called a reset board. If I disconnect that, then I can play and everything works, but nothing scores.
Someone will know.
Yeah,
I think
it's a problem with the reset board. I ordered another reset board. Hopefully that'll solve it. If that's not it, somebody let me know.
You can message at talkpinball@gmail.com with a solution for Kevin.
If you give me a solution, I'll send you an autographed Meat Mountain from Jay Fairbrother. All right. What else? Oh, I fixed my Scoleri brothers. So the right Scoleri brothers. So here's a pro tip. Here's a way I can help you guys out. If you have a Ghostbusters and your Scoleri brothers don't stay up, inside the playfield there's a little plastic ledge. And there's a chance, especially if you put the stronger springs on it or tighten up the springs in any way, that little plastic ledge has broken. And you just pop off the mech, put in the new little piece of plastic, and you're off and running. And what was awesome was I emailed Stern about it. I've had my Ghostbusters for about a year. And I said, hey, here's my serial number. These ledges broke. And I know the one Ghostbusters you guys have on route.
Yeah, the one on route broke too. Same deal.
Yeah, so it's kind of a recurring
it's gonna happen
problem.
if you have the game, probably.
So, and actually Jamie, who fixes the games on your route, helped me out with that. And he said, oh, it's probably the ledge. So I emailed Stern and said, this is the problem. This is my serial number. And they said, we'll send you 2 in the mail. So you got an extra one. Boom, no problem. Had them like 3 days later, put them in, done. A+ service from Stern. So those are my updates.
Some of us like the game better when the Scoleri brothers stay down.
Yeah, right.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, right. Unless you're an operator, then you like it when they're up. So Nick, why don't you give us your updates?
I don't have major updates. I don't even want to talk about Bad Girls anymore because it's kind of sad that we haven't streamed it yet.
I'm curious. I need to know
we're
what
still
the
doing
status
this
of it.
makeover. John Barsh, who's a local collector and LED aficionado, is giving it its makeover. It's taking some time though, so we got to get him to come over to the house and work on it. And Martha has to consult. It's a process, people. It's not easy. It's not easy, but it's gonna look beautiful when we're done with it. My other update is we have a Star Wars on route, a Pro that we put out, I would say mid-July, and we've already had to fix the TIE Fighter 3 times because both wings have fallen off at various points in the thing. No matter of putting like Loctite on or whatever. So that's really aggravating. The game is a ghosting playfield in numerous spots, and the most recent problem is the node board went. So that's one of the bigger concerns, I think, on the newer Sterns is the node board, because you can't fix it. You need to get another one from Stern, and they're also specific to the game. So with Stern's new system of Spike, that's frustrating because they're well over $100 now. Obviously, the game is under warranty, and Stern sent another one out, but they also sent it to an address from where Jamie lived 4 years ago. And he's had numerous parts and things delivered to his current one. So that game was out for almost a week and easily lost $100 in revenue from that, which is just frustrating on a brand new game. So not been a good experience with our Star Wars from Stern. Hopefully, we talked about build quality and quality in general in pinball machines. Hopefully that's a fluke, and that's it. But Attack asks, how is it earning? It's doing well. We've got that at Community Beer Works, so that's a brewery, as you might imagine, and it's the only game there. And there's not a lot of entertainment options there, so I think it gets played quite a bit. I'm almost wondering if you can put any game there and it would earn well, but it is doing well there without getting into specifics. We're really happy with it. So
nice. Destroyer of Worlds asked, how long till I get my dialed in? So I can give an update on that. I emailed a couple weeks ago now, so it's got to be coming up pretty soon because when I emailed, they said within 3 to 4 weeks. So some point this month, hopefully, I will have dialed in and we can stream it. So that'll be fun. All right. So we had a couple tournaments. The most recent one was a tournament called Winter is Coming. And this is a pinball bicycle tournament that Martha, who you know from the stream, and Man of Hat, Rob, they both put this together. They were nice enough to coordinate everything so Nick and I could just go and play for free and fun. It was about 10 of us ended up riding our bikes around Buffalo, stopping into a whole bunch of different pinball places and playing pinball. So that was it was a good time. And who ended up winning that?
I won it.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. No one is celebrating that except for me. Well, I lost my partner. My partner.
Oh, that's right.
My partner had to leave, so I picked up Jeff Worth. But yeah, I won. So we had to play Martha and her friend Emily head to head. Martha, she was doing well, and that's how that ended. So it was fun. It wasn't really like a tournament. It's not for IFPA points.
Well,
it's a team thing.
Why
There's
did we
no
even play?
money. It was free. So I don't even know why I got out of bed that day. But no, it was a good time.
Yeah, it was a little chilly. It was probably about 60-ish in Buffalo that day, but my son and I were a team, so that was fun. And he said he definitely would he would definitely do it again next year.
Destroyer, when did I give out a yellow card?
So this came up in and we can get to this, but well, it'll tie into something we talk about later, but I might as well talk about it now. So on the podcast, we often get asked ways for new players to learn how to play pinball, and we typically recommend Pinball 101.
Yeah.
And I had a light bulb moment the other day because it used to be available for purchase. It's not available for purchase anymore. It used to be up on YouTube where you could rent it. You can't do that anymore. Well, it's in the Pinball Arcade. So if you go under settings and videos, you can just watch it right there.
It just plays it from the start. Can you go to chapters. Or?
It's a $5 stream. You
gotta pay $5.
Pay $5 to unlock it.
Okay.
I don't know what, but that's totally fair.
No,
that's
totally
like
awesome.
$15, so.
Yeah, totally.
So that ties into the question because Attack in the Discord earlier today, he said in the video they talk about how you shouldn't swear while you're playing.
Wait, in what video?
In the Pinball 101.
I don't remember that.
Yeah. So they were saying if you heeded that advice, and I shared how you had to hand out a yellow card at the Summer Open, which was kind of funny and ironic.
There's should and shouldn't, I don't know. There's difference of opinion about swearing. It's not like when I swear I'm proud of it, but I'm very much in the intense moment.
Yeah.
The best way to probably not do that would be to probably tape my mouth shut. But there's swearing and there's also excessive swearing, dude, everyone's allowed one here and there kind of deal. You've gone way over the line. So I had to hand out a yellow card, a couple of them at the Summer Open, and it doesn't feel good. I'm sympathetic because I'm an emotional player too. I don't ever do it to the level that they were doing it. The couple people, one person was swearing, another person shoved a machine into another machine that was in another bank of games. I mean, that's totally unacceptable. But as a tournament director, you don't want to do that to somebody. You don't want to hand out a yellow card. So, there's no joy in doing so.
No. And it's a warning. And it's also the difference of playing in a Papa Circuit major versus screwing around on a stream at your house.
I mean, to the people I gave it to, they were like, yep, I deserved it. I get it. So that was good,
Yep. So, yeah, that's where that came from. All right. Another recent tournament we held was a dialed-in lunch party down at Pocketeer. This was a standard kind of one game tournament, pump it up format. We ran it the same night as our Selfie League finals, which was interesting because Nick and I ended up going all the way to the last round and playing against each other head to head.
Yep.
And Nick was on fire, and I conceded on the last game when he was wrecking me on.
I was playing angry.
He was.
It was a bad mood that night.
He
and
was.
It willed me to win.
Yeah, and I would have had to beat you 3 times in a row, and you just like totally destroyed me on Spider-Man. I was like, all right, you win. I'm done.
You find a way to put me in a good mood when I'm like really when I'm on fire.
Yeah.
I don't know, compliment me or something like that, or
if only Jay or Martha was there to tell you were doing a good job.
yeah, seriously.
Put the jinx on you.
Yeah, but we didn't really get to play and dialed in because we couldn't qualify.
Yeah,
didn't have time.
I got one entry in right at like 11 or 10:59, and I didn't play well enough to qualify, unfortunately. But that was fun. The folks at Jersey Jack sent us some cool giveaways. Some actually a translate and some cabinet decals and T-shirts and stuff like that. So thank you to our friends at Jersey Jack, and we'll see you guys soon. What else? We got a couple Buffalo upcoming events I thought we could talk about if folks wanted to come and partake.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out. So we've got a tournament coming up in November 12th, which is a Sunday. It's called Fall Brawl. It's going to, because, it's rhyming. I mean, come on. Mm-hmm. It's got the sweet guy from Champion Pub on the flyer that Kevin did up. Yeah. So, we're going to fight. We're going to fight.
Yeah.
It's at Game On Land, which is a newer location in Buffalo. It's a place where I operate games at, and the games are in excellent condition. It's limited to 32 players. So typically tournaments like this that we've run in the past, they always sell out. And this is with 40 or 60 players. So I definitely recommend, if you're going to come to it, to pre-register. The format is 4.5 hours of guaranteed playtime. There's an A and a B division, but here's the deal. A and B will play each other in match play format, okay? So everybody will get IFPA Whopper points. Where the B division comes in place, if you're a B player, which you're not in the top 5,000 of players, then you pay, I think, $10 is your entry, and you have a separate pool of prize money that A players don't have access to. So I think that's kind of the perfect blend now that we've gotten to. We've done A and B divisions in the past when we've had maybe like 60 players, so 20 in B, 40 in A. That's my math, right, Kev? We're good?
I don't know. I'm not paying attention.
Ben's got like instruments and stuff, and he's doing this, and I'm like 40, 20, 60. Yeah. So we've done that in the past, but I do like this idea that everybody plays each other, but there's special prize pool, and there's a discount for newer players. So it's all about getting new people to play pinball. Without compromising the fun for existing players.
Yeah, because you
walk that line.
When you're a new player, you don't want to come in and be like, well, Nick's going to win, so why am I even going to bother? And I'm not going to win any money. And even though it's fun to play, but everybody wants a chance to win.
You want everybody to have a chance for some of the money.
Yeah.
And that's what we do in Selfie League, and I think that works well. And it's just not one person dominates or wins everything every month or every tournament.
Yep.
Anyways, that's the promo for that. Check it out. It's at buffalopinball.com for more info.
And I don't think we talked about our monthly 3 strikes last time because I think it started afterwards.
We've got a lot. So, more tournaments, more locations in Buffalo, more tournaments. Again, promoting pinball, getting new people into playing pinball. I think in some accord, Kevin's been able to focus more on the stream, and I've been able to spend some of my time focusing on local pinball. Because in the last year or two, I think we really focused a lot on the streaming. And now that that's up and running, we don't want to neglect the local scene, right?
For sure.
So at the heart of what I do, and I speak for Kevin, is getting new people to play pinball. So we started a monthly 3 strikes tournament. This is also at Game On, a new location in Buffalo. And it's, as the name suggests, it's a 3 strikes tournament limited to 32 people once again. It's $5 for new players or $10 for the top 5,000. Come out. It's Monday nights, last Monday of the month. Starts at 7:30. It's a good time.
For sure. All right. We talked about Pinball 101 and Pinball Arcade, so let's move on. There's 2 new podcasts that I've been listening to that I really enjoy, so I thought I'd give them a shout out here. One we already mentioned is the Head to Head Pinball Podcast. Ryan and Martin. I remembered you guys' names. You forgot my name on the podcast today. From Australia, those guys have been doing a really good job. They've been doing a weekly podcast, which I think is insane, but they do a good job. So
no, I've really enjoyed that one also.
Yeah.
As I mentioned, some of the stuff they said inspired me to do this testing on Medieval Madness.
So they're part of the reason why you're here today.
They are, yeah.
So thanks to those guys. Also, the Pinball Players Podcast, which is done by Jeff, and I can't remember your last name, Jeff, But if you have to name somebody who hosts a pinball podcast, Jeff is a good bet because Jeff Teolis is Pinball Profile.
Yeah, that's right.
Jeff Rivera is on the Pinball Podcast.
Jeff Teolis said some really nasty things about Big Buck Hunter, which I'm
Was,
finding
I know.
hard to forgive.
I know,
hard to
I know.
forgive. But I like Jeff. He's a good guy, so I'm going to see past that.
The bottom line is if you forget somebody's name who's hosting a podcast, go with Jeff. Your
I
odds are
just
good.
listened to the new one on the drive over here. So
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed. I don't remember.
Yeah, but he kind of puts the rest of us to shame because he's a professional
Yeah, it
radio guy.
sounds like
As soon as you start listening, you're like, this guy, this is not even fair. This guy knows what he's talking about. So, but it's great to listen to. He does a good job. It kind of reminds me of Nate a little bit because he does it by himself and he's able to kind of carry the show all by himself, which is really, and it's fun to listen to. But he has guests and interviews and stuff too. So check those two out. That's Pinball Players Podcast and the Head to Head Pinball Podcast. So there you go. And you got the last one.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to a new product that it's probably en route and picking up. It's Playfield Protectors. So playfield-protectors.com. Here's the deal. I learned about these several months ago because I think Jamie Brundage is involved. He was selling some of it at Allentown, and I kind of looked at it. I was a little curious, but what they are, they're these clear plastic protectors that go over your playfield to protect them. I mean, hence the name, right? Makes sense.
I like it. Straight and to the point.
We have some on the location games, not us personally, but I noticed at Pocketeer that there's a Buck Rogers. There's one on there. Centaur, there's one on there. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh, this is pretty impressive. It's an older game. It's going to be out in public. It's routed, so it's going to get a lot of wear. And on older classic games like that, they're not clear-coated. So you want to preserve them, but what are your options at that point? You can try to wax them every week, but I mean, that's just ridiculous. That's only going to do so much protection. The other option is to clear-coat the game, which is not easy. You got to strip the entire game. Then you got to start figuring out how to clear-coat. Then you got to level inserts. Then you got to hope the clear-coat doesn't get messed up. It's way too time-consuming. So this is sort of like the perfect middle ground. You don't have to take apart the complete playfield. Just some of the things have to come off from the top of it, so you can get this overlay on there, and then your game's protected. And if you've got inserts that are kind of curved in or whatever, it's not an issue anymore. The ball's going to be much smoother on the playfield. It's not going to get kind of stuck in cupped inserts. Anything that's wearing on the game is not going to wear anymore because there's a protector on it that's clear. I actually got it specifically for my Jungle Lord because my Jungle Lord is like the cabinet is in beautiful shape. It's got a new back glass. The playfield's okay in the bottom, but on the top, it's really starting to wear. So every time I play it, I feel a little worried, a little anxious about it because I'm like, well, gee, what can I do to this game? Because I don't want to destroy the thing, and there aren't classic playfield reproductions. I can't get another Jungle Lord playfield. So this is the perfect solution to me. I think it's like $120. They're coming from Germany. And the cool thing is right now, if you order them up until the end of Expo, they'll ship to the U.S. for free. So if you can imagine, shipping from Germany can't be that cheap. So if you're thinking about getting that or you're curious, head over to playfield-protectors.com and definitely get it before Expo ends. They have so many games on there. I don't know what games they don't have, but it seems like they have everything possible.
My friend James Alderson put one of those on his Paragon, and it made a huge difference in how it plays. It plays a lot faster.
I was going to say.
It looks a lot better. Because in that game, it had there was bad cupped inserts and things, and so the ball could actually get stuck on top of some of the inserts, and it wasn't economical to replace the playfield, but putting that on made a huge difference.
So he's happy.
Yeah.
You definitely see the speed of the game.
Yeah, you definitely see the speed of the game.
That's what I like.
And the appearance of the game looks better too.
Awesome.
Yeah, the Buck Rogers at Pocketeer that has one on it looks great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it look super shiny, clear coated. It looks good.
Yeah, you sort of don't notice it at first, but then you're like, wow, this looks good. And then you're like, look at it, like, okay, it's got that protector on it. It's good. It's glossy, but you can still see through it. So check it out, guys.
Good
That's
stuff.
pro tip.
Pro tips. All right. So this was a Nick Lane feature suggestion. And this is going to be the top 5 rage-inducing games.
I stole this from a podcast I listened to, Dice Tower. So I like the idea. And you mentioned rage or anger, then let's do it.
This
is easy.
Yeah, let me pull up my list here.
All right, so we're gonna do this like we did the Ben. If you want to think about your top 5, we can go down the line, and this is on the fly.
I don't really get that
Yeah,
angry,
Ben
but,
doesn't seem like a rage kind of guy to me.
Yeah, I get even.
There you go. Love it.
All right, so we'll start with Kevin, but we're gonna do this format like we did for the top 10 Stern. So we're gonna start at our top 5. I don't know what Kevin's Top 5 is he doesn't know mine,
Yep.
and we'll see where we end up. What do you think we're gonna have the same answer?
I think there's
Number
going to
one?
be some answers that are overlapping. Yeah.
I think there's gonna be a lot.
Yeah.
All right, let's go ahead. Go ahead and kick it off.
All right. So I had to be perfectly honest, I totally forgot about this, and I did this like 10 minutes ago. So I got 4 solid entries, and then I got my 5th, which is like just because I don't like the game. It's Gilligans Island.
All right, I just want to lay down some ground rules. It doesn't, and this is fine. I'm not saying that's not legit. It's fine. We're gonna accept the answer. Rage inducing can let's qualify what that means.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It could be a good game. It could be a bad game. But there's just something about it that you lose your temper at.
Right.
That's fair to say.
Not all my games are bad games. There are actually some games that I really
Okay.
like
Okay.
that
Good.
are rage
It's,
inducing.
I think you get it. It's more
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the viewers or listeners. Okay. So Gilligan's Island. Why don't you talk about why that's number 5 on the list?
Any number of reasons. Mostly, there's one thing to do for points in it, and you can just it's so unbalanced that if you get that volcano shot going and you just nail it over and over and over again, and the other guy can't do it, there's no other possible way to come anywhere near that score. And then sometimes they'll even give you a bonus ball. So it's like, oh, well, you're playing great. Here, have another ball. Keep playing. It's not an extra ball. It's just a bonus ball. So the rules stink. The game is no fun to play, and that's Gilligan's Island.
Did you know, unless ours is really messed up or weird ROM on it, that you can give the other player 1,000,000 points?
What?
Yeah, that's in there.
even worse.
That's happened.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
That's
Why would you ever do that?
Gilligan's. Now that you talk about this and we bring this up, I kind of stick this game in the back of my head and pretend it doesn't exist. But
Yeah.
it's not as bad as some games.
Yeah.
Surprisingly enough, but it's a good choice. Good number 5.
Yeah. Okay. There you go.
All right, so number 5 for me, I'm gonna go with. Let's see what I have. Bride of Pinball. This is
Anybody watched the stream last week?
a very
knows this
recent
one.
rage-inducing.
I'm
but
surprised that's only number 5 because you were pretty serious.
if someone wants to clip all the moments of meltdown, we're trying not to swear.
Yeah.
And
You were not able to hold it in.
if you're trying not to swear, don't play Bride of Pinball. I don't know. I've not played a lot of them, so I don't know if it's the particular one that we were playing. But just losing my mind, Kevin. I mean, you can sympathize with this, right?
Yeah.
All right. So maybe that's on your list. We'll see. But I don't know, man. We're just bricking shots, and then we were trying to hit it up that left ramp because the game is left ramp all day, right?
That was the tutorial.
Because it goes from the points are a million. It's millions. It goes in the millions, millions and millions. You never get to 1 billion any other way. But if you do this, you get a shot at 1 billion points. So basically, it's a win the game shot. So it's only really one strategy if you're playing for that. But then we're getting so many rejects. It would rattle in the ramp or it wouldn't make it up the ramp. So balls getting rejected left and right from what looks like an easy, simple shot. So that's frustrating. It's boring. And then the other way to play the game is maybe just shooting it up that straight center heartbeat shot or whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing, and there's a lot of points there, but the thing is, if somebody gets the 1 billion, it doesn't matter if you hit that shot 1,000,000 times. It's so stupid. It's just so stupid. And the game's not playing right. It's even more frustrating. So, Bride of Pinball, just a waste of real estate, rage-inducing frustration, number 5.
Put a 2.0 kid in it. Ben, you got it.
Well-
Did you come up with any?
I don't know if I have 5.
All right.
I don't have to. I think.
If something just... We're just going to explore your emotions.
I don't know. Maybe this is like number 1 early. I don't know if this counts, but I remember I really wanted to play the new Aliens, and we went all the way, and it was broken when we got there.
Yeah.
And I think I've tried to do the same thing it shows, and always some part of it is never working.
Oh
So,
man, bringing back bad memories from last
Yeah,
podcast.
so maybe that's
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I would probably get rage if I only ever want to play the game again, and I never will. So that's it.
See, at least you played it once. I mean,
Yeah. I played it when it was working for a week, and it was really fun. And I guess that's what is extra rage-inducing about it is I want to play it again, but now I can't because it never freaking works. And when it does work, it resets in the middle of the game and does all
We
sorts of
will
crazy
if they update and fix it. By the way, so I think most people understand where we came from with our review last month. For those who didn't, there was one comment. It's Nick gave up on the game, because it broke. But we'll play it. 6 months, a year from now, whenever they're done with it, and they work out the problems. A lot of the things that I think we criticized, they're not going to be able to fix. It's just geometry. But we'll give it another shot. We're always willing to update our reviews. All right, let's go to number 4. Kevin, kick us off.
Oh, baby. This might be a crossover. It's Fireball Classic. Is that on your list?
Wait for it. Oh yeah, number four, Fireball Classic. Here comes the hive mind.
Jeez, we did not do this.
No. This is the fun of it because it's a surprise to me, just like it is a surprise to everybody else.
So yeah, Fireball Classic. I guess we can kind of tackle this one together then. So if you've never played it, so Fireball was originally an EM game with zipper flippers, and zipper flippers are the little tiny flippers that they close up when you hit a certain thing. So that was really important on Fireball because it's got the spinning disc right in the middle of the playfield. So the strategy is close up the flippers so you can't get screwed over as bad by the spinning disc. Well, on Fireball Classic, it's a solid state game with normal size flippers that don't move, and you're just kind of at the mercy of the randomness of the game. That said, it's not totally uncontrollable. And we got a clip in the chat of Nick hating Bride of Pinball.
This is why you watch live, guys.
So I have had really good games on that, but when it screws you over really bad, right?
Yeah, it's I mean, I don't know if I find the perfect way to describe it, but that spinning disc is just random, total luck, and you know, all you can do on that game is try to nudge, all right? And the one we have on location is just set up in the worst way possible. There's no thought put behind it because the tilt bob is pretty tight on it. So now you've just got this luck fest of just spraying and hoping the wheel goes your way. One of the worst games I've ever played. And when we were on the Slam Tilt podcast, I remember Ron from that was just saying he likes it. And it made me think, like, am I missing something? And I went back and played it. No, I'm surprised to hear him say that. You know, the skill shot is cool, very cool skill shot. But once you get past that and you've got this wheel that just spins around, throws the ball every which way when you have no control over it, just total frustration. And it's also hard to trap on it the way they have the the slingshots are like attached to the flippers pretty much. So it's tough to cradle on it because then it's going to hit that and go out of control. So just this wild random game that just reduces any kind of skill to just almost 60% luck on it.
Yep, agreed. All right, Ben, you got any other picks?
Another one. You know, I used to have a Lord of the Rings, which is a game I liked, but it was a long playing game. And for that I liked trying to destroy the ring, but then you'd have to do this huge build up to get to that, and then if you didn't do it or you lost, then it's like it was all for nothing.
I just wasted my time. Now I got to do all this over again. Yeah,
that's the issue I think of like longer playing games and why I don't tend to like longer playing games because there's such a time commitment, and then you fail at that moment, and you're just like, well, I'm done. I can't play anymore, and I just feel totally defeated.
All right. So number 3. I don't think
that's all you, Kev.
I don't think this is going to be a crossover. Mine is Game of Thrones.
No, I don't. I'm not saying I do or do not have that on my list, but okay, go ahead. Number 3.
I hate it. Everybody who listens to the podcast knows I hate it.
Both versions? All versions?
I hate the Pro less. But I just keep going back to Games Done Quick in January when I was like, all right, Mixer Tuna is there. He loves this game. He understands it front and back. I was like, help me love this game. And he talked me through it. He showed me what to do. And I started doing it. And even when I started doing it, I still didn't like it.
So you didn't like it, but does it induce rage?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Anytime it gets picked in, like, if somebody pick, and I'm giving anybody who plays in Buffalo and plays against me, I'm giving you an advantage. You pick that game, it's just going to piss me off that I have to play it. Because if you miss and you hit one of those stupid, like, stand-up targets, they're all, like, right in front of the flippers and you're screwed over. And I don't like the way the shots feel. It's pissing me off just thinking about it.
You know, I'm smiling right now because we're playing Kevin's Team and Team League this Wednesday at Game On.
And you just put one in
guess
there.
what got delivered there on Saturday? Game of Thrones Pro. Guess who was Grand Champ did on Saturday? This guy.
Yeah. I have beat you on it in competition before, though. So it's not that I can't play it. I just hate it.
You'll just hate the experience.
Yes.
And that's a little victory there. All right.
No, I have the LE on that one. I actually like it a lot. So
yeah, it doesn't induce rage for me. It's more of a really mellow experience.
All right.
Game.
What's your number 3?
Number 3 is Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Oh, that's a good
I remember when I got that game to babysit like 4 years ago. Jamie dropped it off and had it in my place, and I would just lose my mind over it because it's such a brutal game, especially when you're kind of growing as a player. And even now, I mean, who am I kidding? Such a brutal game, but it's also one of those games where you're trying to do this one objective and this one objective only, which is to stack all 3 multi-balls. and you'll just get so close. And then, of course, the game is so brutal of zipper flippers that you'll drain, and you just start to lose your mind if that's your objective. So I've slapped the lockdown bar. I've cursed at the top of my lungs. I've punched like my cupped hand, like walk away yelling at it. Yeah, that is one of the first games I remember just losing my mind at. That's Bram Stoker's Dracula, number 3.
All right, Ben, what do you think?
I like Bram Stoker's Dracula. I can totally understand. I've been in that situation. Another game that I think is rage-inducing is a Rob Zombie. You guys came over and streamed
that's a good pick.
I mean, that was. I think the problem with mine is I unboxed it, and a guy I work with came over and played one of the first games, and one of the kicker switches wasn't adjusted, so I kept kicking the whole time. And then he got that house of 1,000 corpses, so he just kept getting switch hits on that. And then I could never beat that the whole time I owned it after I fixed the switch.
Well, he cheated. That doesn't count. But I understand. Yeah, that game I considered that game, but I haven't played it enough to really. It didn't drive me to rage enough. Like I had fun playing it at your house, but I only played it a few times.
Yeah, that was probably the worst game I've ever owned, and I don't own it anymore. So.
There you go. All right.
Moving along, number 2, Kevin.
It is The Walking Dead.
Okay.
Yeah, because as you know, if you've listened to the podcast, this is my number 1 Stern pick. Love this game. It's amazing. But there's so many times when you just can't get it going. You can't control it. It's brutal. It's fast. The magnet can screw you over on the prison. You get 3 of the 4 target banks cleared for Bloodbath and you can't finish it off. Or you get Bloodbath going and then you can't extend it by hitting the drop. So there's like, you put all this work in and then it's just like, it's a game that destroys you. So as much as I like those kind of games, it's a game that just like beats you down and can make you rage out for sure.
No, I agree. And the thing about Walking Dead is there's not just, as Ben was talking about, Lord of the Rings, is kind of like that one objective you're chasing. There's a lot of like objectives in that game, or a lot of moments that you get close to. And then, so that means there's just that many more ways to fail at it. And I've lost my mind on that game. You haven't seen that?
Yep.
You've been over for streams where we just play the game for like 2 hours and just lose our minds because you get so close, or you just got like horde lit and you're like, all I gotta do is just make this shot. All I gotta do. I spent all night trying to get to this, and then you whiff at it, drains, and you just lose your mind. And those kickers on it, the slingshots, it hits it, it's gonna go in the out lane. It's just super hard to save. But that's what makes the game great. And this is an example of a great game that we both love, but is also rage-inducing. And that's sort of the beauty of it in some ways.
And when it takes the best of you, somewhere in the distance you can hear John Borg laughing faintly.
I've got one here. I know you guys will probably like Batman 66. So this is the only game that I've owned without, like, by accident, basically. so
he owns a Batman 66 by accident.
I don't think I hate it as much as you guys. But my friend James pre-ordered this thing, and then when it came time to deliver it, like he didn't have all the cash or something. So I basically like, okay, I'll pay for the rest of it. We can just deliver it to my house, and you can pay me back later. So we get it delivered. And then I think he decided to sell it. And then by this time, my son loved the game, and he's like, "We can't sell this." He was like, I think he even had a buyer lined up, and he was like, my son was crying. So I was like, "I'll just buy the game off you, James." And so I bought this thing, and they've never can finish the code. This is like almost a year ago.
Yeah, Expo.
And and so it's always like, every 2 weeks. I don't think we haven't seen code in months.
How many code updates have there been since Expo? Like
the last code update was in May.
Yeah.
And it's still there's still screens where it's just like a gray screen with a bat in it, and there's inserts that don't do anything.
Let it out, Ben. Come on. Seems good. It feels good, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. All right.
All right. So my number 2, Ghostbusters.
Oh.
Particularly the premium, but the pro's not going to be left out of this. Pro's just as guilty. So Ghostbusters is one of those games that I think Walking Dead is a fair game. Frustrating but fair. Ghostbusters is super cheap in some of the... guys, I don't even need to say this. I should say Ghostbusters and move on because I've harped on this for so long. But we all know the problems with the Ghostbusters flying because bricking on the Scoleri targets, hopping over the out lanes, ball flying all over the playfield, flipper gap that's even wider than it should be, the normal flipper gap from Trudeau. So very frustrating game. And I think what's even more frustrating and rage-inducing is because you know that 85% of the game is just really good, and it could have been almost like a perfect game, but it's just stupid things that will ruin your ball and ruin your day. Having the best game, and you just drain, not through any fault of your own, but through poor design. And I can't think of anything that is more rage-inducing than that.
All right, so shall we move on to our number ones?
I'll throw in a number two while you're at it. I mean, so like I really like Wizard of Oz. One of the things that drives me nuts is when you lose the ball out the left out lane, then it hits that little thing, and then you get all the targets, and then you get into this mode that's not worth any points, but you have to do all this crap. It's like just let me have the next ball and like just forget.
Yeah,
I wish that was.
I agree that the left out lane. That's the no place like home, right? On the left. Yeah. It's way too long. There's too much going on
there.
Go
through all this stuff, and I've done it a few times, and I was like, was this even worth it? Then you get your ball back, and then you lose it after. So
you get like no points in that mode.
Yeah, you get no points. It's just to save your ball, and then half the time you play the ball for 2 seconds, then it's gone.
Well, Toto is cool because it's like one shot and you get it back. You're like, okay, that's cool.
That's cool. Like the other way, it's just like too much.
It's like the $1 million basket in Fast Break. Either get it or you don't. Move on. All right, number ones.
All right, Kevin, kick it off. Number one rage-inducing game. I know what it's going to be.
Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Okay.
Specifically, a non-dialed-in Ghostbusters. You know, all the things Nick said are totally true. When I first got mine, and it was brand new, and it was super fast, and I hadn't done anything to kind of like tame the air balls or anything like that, I would play that game for hours, and I would be like, I have this giant beanbag chair. I'd be like punching and kicking it. Like, and I'm typically a pretty chill player, but it was just like infuriating. And I've never had a reaction like that to a pinball machine before. Now that I have it dialed in more, it's playing better. It's set up right. Less so, but if you play a premium and it throws the ball down the middle when you hit the Magnus Slings, just go, stop playing. Go play something else.
Yeah, Magnus Slings are just complete garbage.
Yeah.
Just complete garbage in terms of trying to have, some skill in pinball.
Yeah, for sure.
So number one for me is going to be Walking Dead. My number one favorite game, my number one rage-inducing game. Just because I said like earlier, there's a lot of ways where you're almost to that moment. You've almost got everything set up. There's so many ways to die in the game, and then you kind of drop the ball on it. Very frustrating. I also have a lot of bad games on that before I have that one good game. So it's just very challenging, very frustrating, very easy to lose your mind on it. I also do poorly on it in competition, so there's another bonus point for somebody on there. But I love the game, man. It's at least fair. I don't feel like cheated when I drain on that game.
Yeah.
It's just a super tough game that's Bram Stoker's Dracula-esque in terms of just the difficulty and the brutalness of it, but even more so, if you can believe it. Great game, but also the number one rage-inducing game for me.
There you go. Lay a number one on us, Ben.
Okay, so this isn't a raging-induced game for me, but I love Star Wars. I've got the LE. I love the theme. I actually like the game a lot, but I hosted our local Rochester league, and Bruce Nightingale runs the league, and he just hated the game. And if you listen to his podcast, like half the last podcast is how much he hated the game. And so then the Selfie League finals was on Sunday, so I went, and I kept jabbing Bruce about how I was going to make him play this thing. Once I was in a group with him, I was going to lose, so we'd have to play it. And we weren't in a group until the final four, and I think he was threatening to lose the round so he didn't have to play it. But then on the third game, I finally lost on Corvette. Of course, I chose this thing, and he was so pissed. He had like he had like I think one of the worst games of his life on it, and I was actually worried about him because I was on call as well. So, but he got back at me because I had even a worse game than he did.
Oh, there you go.
But the funny thing is, I think there was a free credit on the game, and as I was leaving, he was starting another game. So I don't know if it's
he's trying to get his revenge on it. Yeah. It's weird that Bruce would get mad. I've never seen him get mad.
He's hard to read. He's just so emotional.
I'm sure he'll mention it on his podcast.
It's Slam Tilt Podcast. Check those guys out, Ron and Bruce.
I think Star Wars makes my list in terms of an operator. His number one rage-inducing game.
Yeah. And as far as like my favorite, I got a Star Wars story. So when we were playing in the bike tournament, you were explaining it to Steve, And he just had no clue. He's just you're trying to explain the
hitting the buttons.
Hitting the buttons. He's like, I have no idea what you just did.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's so stupid. I'm sorry, that game is so stupid.
And Steve plays a decent amount of pinball. Like he's on
yeah,
Team
it's
League.
not like somebody who's never seen a pinball machine before, and you're like trying to teach them. Okay, this is the flippers. Like, no. He at least knows enough.
Yeah,
and he's just like giving up.
I got a story. Like, so I think my mother was over. Somebody who doesn't play really pinball, and like you have the whole skill shot where you choose your path, you choose the character, then you have to hit the thing. You get So I was explaining this all to my mother. Then she like plunges the ball, then it just like hits something and then drains. And I'm like, oh, you have to flip the ball too. It's like, oh, man.
I know. It's like people are like, I just want to plunge the ball and play. Okay. So there you go. Hello, Vortex Queen. What's going on?
Namus is questioning. You don't feel cheated when the magnet drops the ball. Yeah, but that happens like 1 in 10.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a rare. It's a frustrating event, and I feel cheated. He's talking about Walking Dead.
Yeah.
But
Hi, Mom. Ben's mom. What's going on? Life Forcer wants to know: have any of us got so mad that we hurled a chair? Have you ever gotten that mad?
Hurled a chair?
Yeah.
No, I'm not Austin.
Dude. He lives and breathes the embodiment.
We
of
talk about
play
getting
angry.
a punching bag, in the basement. And Josh at Game On, who's the owner of Game On, he broke a chair. He like ripped an arm off, I guess. I was like, "What's this?" He's like, "Oh, Josh got mad and broke it." That was like he had just been playing pinball for a few weeks, but he gets it.
Yeah,
he gets it. Yeah, and I think it was because after Ghostbusters.
Oh yeah.
So there you go.
There you go. He agrees.
That's his number one.
All right. So
time for the review.
Here's our
Let's do
transition.
this. We're gonna get a review. We're gonna work on a video.
Yeah,
I think we're gonna reach out to maybe our subs, or if there's anybody listening who has some skills and wants to do some charity work and help create an intro for us. We have sort of an idea, so maybe we can work together and get an intro going before the review happens.
Here's a dramatic intro. Ready?
We can do better.
It's the world premiere of our X-Men review.
The Earth is turning the wrong way in that. I don't know if it
Ben,
makes.
you ruined all the fun.
That was really bothering you. I could tell. You're like, oh.
It was also turning too fast. It usually takes like a whole day.
Maybe it was time lapse. All right, let's. We're going to talk about X-Men. Ben, do you have much experience with X-Men?
I've played some. I'd like to get some more experience with it, but it's.
All right, so this is the game. This is going to be our featured review of the day. So, Nick, why don't you kick it off talking about the art?
So, well, here we're gonna break it down. Starting with the art, Kevin right now has the Pro backlash, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
On the screen, and actually, I mean, it looks amazing. It looks really good. This is not based on any of the movies. It's a comic book art style. I couldn't say kind of what decade they're going for. I'm not a comic book guy, but the whole game is just kind of plastered with this comic book art. And it looks fantastic from the back glass to the cabinet to the playfield looks pretty good too.
Yep. So that was that's the Pro cabinet that you're seeing right here. It's got kind of everybody all over it. There are 3 editions of this game. There's a Pro and 2 limited editions. The first LE is the Magneto. It's got kind of a red look. It's got the red armor and Magneto on the back glass, as you would expect. Back when LEs actually got back glasses, mirrored back glasses. This is one of those.
Imagine.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know about you guys. Somebody guys are saying how sexy I look on the
yeah, I know.
screen there.
Her name's Lady Cranes. I imagine she's some relation to
Probably a huge
this Ben
fan.
guy. Yeah, Ben brought his fan club here tonight, and this is what we're looking at here is the Wolverine LE.
So it's nice. They had 3 different art styles. They had one specifically for the Wolverine LE, one for the Magneto LE, and then the just kind of the regular Pro art. But I'd say they all look great.
Cabinet art is awesome. That's one of my, when this game came out, I'm like, this is an awesome looking pinball machine. Great art, as you would expect from an X-Men game. But, you never know. They could have gone with movie and had like people from the old movies on there. Thank goodness they didn't do that. So
no, it makes it timeless.
Yeah, and here's the playfield art. Playfield art's not
as good as like the backlash and cabinet, but
yeah, it gets the job done. I would say it's above average.
Agreed.
But altogether, the cabinet artwork and playfield artwork and artwork altogether, I would say is a win in that category.
Okay, I think we concur on that. Let's go over to sound. So the sound in the game. Music's fine. Nothing terribly memorable. Like, I mean, I've played X-Men a good amount, and there's nothing bad I can say about the music per se, but it's not something that gets stuck in my head. I can just kind of barely think of it right now.
Yeah. There's no standout music that I can think of.
I think the low point is though some of the voice call outs.
Yes. People hate it.
Just not good.
Wolverine panting.
People don't like Beast. It's kind of like hit or miss on that point. And then what's the one that people hate? Storm, I think the most.
I think so.
Is that her name? I don't know.
I always play this in noisy areas, so I don't really notice it that much. But from what I understand, if you have it in your home and you hear these call outs over and over and over again, they're really annoying.
It's not the worst thing I've ever heard. You know what I mean? But I can understand that if you're a fan and that's your thing and that's your theme, to being disappointed by it.
Scribble says Storm is horrible. So
okay, it's Storm. Yeah, she's bad.
Yeah. So. Forgettable music and bad callouts.
Yeah, nothing impressive there. You're not gonna show that game off to anybody in the sound department.
Right, exactly. Toys. It's got some toys.
It's got some toys. So on the Pro, I guess I don't even know if we want to call this a toy, but quote unquote toy is Wolverine. He's this plastic molded figure. He doesn't move. He doesn't do anything, but there's a magnet in front of him. So when you hit him, he'll kind of grab it, and you hit him, he'll throw it around a little bit. I don't even think he throws it that much in the game.
No, it's not that dangerous.
Yeah. And then the other, I mean, that's really the only toy. Then there's another magnet for Magneto in like the center of the playfield that during his multi-ball start, the balls will drop, they'll be held on the magnet, and the magnet will kind of throw them. So that's cool. I mean, at least it's theme integration into the game, right? Magnet throws the balls. Perfect. Makes sense.
I love that when it holds on the LE when it grabs the balls and spins them around and they go flying.
I think that's the best part of the game.
Yeah.
That's done before.
So the LE takes the it takes the toy from the Sega game Twister.
Yeah.
All right. So it takes that where there's a spinning disc, sort of like if you think Whirlwind, but there's a magnet in the middle. Or if you played Sega's Twister, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Balls drop there, spins around, fires it off. Great multi-ball start. So, you know, the toys are pretty good. One downside, though, when you're talking about toys, is there's a ramp on the LE, and this ice ramp moves in certain points of the game across the playfield, changing the shots. The problem is, a lot of times when it's moving, the balls will fall off, messing up your play. So when you hit a ramp shot that would normally be safe in the Pro, because the stupid ramp is moving, it will drop the ball in the playfield when it's really not supposed to, and you can drain. So that's a frustrating aspect. The other thing with that moving ramp is that part of the rules is that you need to roll over the in lanes. I forget what you're spelling, but that will light the villain modes in the scoop. Now, that ramp on there in the LE, I think returns it in such a way that you don't get qualification for one of the rollovers, making it harder to qualify those villains in the Pro, in the LE and Premium, which is a problem.
Right.
It just makes the game unnecessarily difficult, and that's where I think a lot of the frustration comes in with rule-wise, even though kind of blending into that category, but it's worth mentioning because it is it's a toy that messes it up.
Yeah, and one other toy on the LE is it's got the pop-up night crawlers, kind of like the trolls on Medieval Madness or the beasts on the Hobbit. Those are kind of cool. People say they like just get in the way of your shots and are annoying, but
I think it's cool to have them. When you want to compare them with Hobbit or Medieval Madness, they're not 3D molded toys. They're just a flat picture. So, you know, you can't help but compare them to Medieval Madness and Hobbit, and you can't help but be disappointed because it's not a 3D molded head. If it was, that'd probably be, you know, significantly more interesting.
Yeah. But all things considered, there's a lot going on the LE.
Yeah,
but,
this is when they actually put stuff into games.
Yeah, but some people tend to prefer the Pro because of some of the gameplay differences that you mentioned that we'll get into a little bit later on. But let's talk about the DMD and lighting. What do you think?
So the Pro was incandescent when it came out. All right, so we're kind of in that time period when they're making the transition from LEDs to from incandescent to LEDs. The premium and LE, or there was no premium. Sorry, I keep on saying that. The LEs had, you know, color changing LEDs. So, you know, that looks pretty good. It's not like as good as it is today, but it's understandable for its time. The lighting's fine. Again, it's nothing that stands out in my mind. I think AC/DC that came out around the same time was much better in lighting. When they transitioned to the LEDs on the premium and LE versus the LEs on X-Men.
Yeah, it doesn't have an amazing light show. It's just it does the thing. It does nothing outstanding. The thing I do really like is the DMD on this. It's some of my favorite dots of any Stern that has come out. It's got great hand drawn art. It's not movie clips or anything like that. I don't know who did the DMD animations on this, but they did a really good job. I haven't seen it in color yet. I bet this is probably one of the best color. Have you seen it in color? Yeah. But yeah. This and actually Avengers, I think, has really good DMD animations as well.
Someone was saying, I remember Jamie was saying that because he's got a Wolverine, that the DMD has like some of the most animations from a Stern game.
Yeah.
So that's impressive. It's probably a game that begs for a color DMD.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's got of like DMD animations, I think it's right at the top. All right, gameplay. So how do you think it shoots?
I think it shoots great. I love the layout. It's a John Boer game, so right then and there we're off to a good start. I think it's the most flowy board game out there. There's actually a lot of shots that flow compared to typically in his games. He's got some flow, but also shots that are coming right back at you. Really, only Wolverine is the shot that comes back at you, other than when the Nightcrawlers are up. It's kind of like a reverse Tron, if you will, but it has more shots, and I love how Tron shoots, and I think this is even better because there's just more shots packed in there. So more options, more shots. The shots feel amazingly good. I absolutely love the way this game plays. It feels great to shoot.
Yeah, I remember. So when we were first getting into the pinball scene, Jamie bought one of these new in box and had us over to set it up, and I was pretty new to real pinball, and I remember I could not hit any shots on this. Even though there's literally shots everywhere, a lot of them are real tight, and you end up hitting a lot of posts if you're not good at hitting your shots. So for more experienced players, now I love it. I think it's a great game, and I would like to maybe own one someday, but it could be a little intimidating to new players, I think, with just the sheer number of shots and how tight some of them are to pick off. All right, rules.
So this game is pretty deep. Rule wise, there's a good amount there. One thing that I like about it is that you're trying to collect the X-Men. You're also trying to, beat the villains, right? Mm-hmm. But one of the cool things in the game is there's a Magneto multi-ball, and you can start trying to start Magneto multi-ball. But if you haven't collected any of the X-Men, then the values of the jackpots in that are very low. Versus if you go and get Wolverine, Storm, Cyclops, or whatever, if you start collecting the X-Men and then starting Magneto, well, the X-Men that you've collected, those jackpots are going to be worth a heck of a lot more than the X-Men you haven't collected. So you're trying to assemble your team. It's one of those games where even though multi-ball might be ready to go, you don't want to start it. You don't want to hit that multi-ball shot because you're focused on other things. So there's that risk-reward when you're playing it competitively too. Do you want to just go and get the quick multi-ball and just get in it because maybe you need a couple million to beat your opponent? Or should you focus on trying to collect the X-Men, then maybe ball 3 starting it? Great rules. I think the one frustration that from my understanding is the way the villains are started with hitting the rollovers. It can be kind of this exercise of just hitting in the scoop over and over again because that's one way of qualifying the rollovers. Yep. So I think at some point in the game, it kind of gets bogged down by that kind of really poor rule implementation. So the rules do suffer there. They're imperfect. I think that's why some people don't like the game, and I think that's why they get rid of it. But there are some innovative and cool things in the rules and good theme integration.
Yeah. So you understand the rules way better than I do. I'll typically go for multi-balls, try to get some modes started. It's one of these games that has super deep rules that I think it would be great in a home collection. And it's a game that Stern came back to a long time after it came out and finally put out an update that people really felt pushed it over the top and made it great. So this is why people hold out hope for Stern games. I think, releases like this, releases like The Walking Dead or Metallica even, where it comes out at first and it's just kind of like this bare bones, just get the game going kind of code. And then eventually, hopefully, they push it over the top and make something great.
I could be wrong, but there might be something still missing from it. I mean, there might be a wizard mode that's missing. I don't know. So let us know on our social media
awesome.
if you missed that.
For sure. Last ability. What do you think?
Good question. I think we'll go over the highlights. One, it looks good in a collection. It shoots great. It's kind of got that timeless theme of X-Men. I think the rules are deep enough to keep someone engaged for quite some time. It's certainly a challenging game that you're not going to get through that easily. What might hurt its last ability is that frustration of trying to get through the villains because of how you qualify them. I know that's why other people have gotten rid of them, and I think that's one reason I've never pulled the trigger on the game, because I like how it shoots. Like I said, I think it's better than Tron in the way that shoots, and I like Tron. I'm cool with the theme, but a rule like that I can see really frustrating me and just becoming not fun to a point where it might seem so broken that I got to get rid of it. So without owning one, I can say that it's probably fun for a while, but is it the kind of game that will never leave your collection? I doubt it.
Yeah, I get that impression too. It's definitely one I would want to own and have it for a while and really dig into the rules and try to understand as much of it as I can. But yeah, if it's got a mode like that where you just keep hitting the scoop over and over, something that kind of hamstrings it, I can see that being hold real quick.
I'd like one for I'd like to get one for Route, actually. That'd be fun.
You should do that.
Get a Pro though.
You should.
I don't think I'd want to. As beautiful as they are, I think the LEs would drive me nuts with the problems. And they've actually they're low in price.
I know.
I mean, you can get an LE for like $5 or something, maybe even less.
Yeah, maybe.
People don't want them.
You should totally get an X-Men.
But there was also a lot of them. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. So, awesome. All right, let's go to the website. Except I have to change this.
You want me to read Adam's?
Wait, no, we can do this.
Oh, you want to go to the poll?
Yeah, no, I want to show the ratings.
Oh, that's right. Ratings. That's right.
So the score key is from 0 to 2 is a burn it.
It's a 0 to 10 scale.
Yep. 3 to 5 is an expensive nightlight.
Also known as Batman 66.
6 to 8 is a solid game, and a 9 to 10 is a buy it. So I'll let you go first. Why don't you give your rating on X-Men?
I'm going to give it at the top. It's just one less than buy it. It's a solid game. I enjoy playing it. I wouldn't mind having it in my collection temporarily. I don't see myself keeping it. But there's a lot of things that this game does well. It's fun to shoot, and I think at the core, pinball's got to be fun to shoot. You got to have shots that you enjoy. So that's there. The rules are pretty deep in it. That's there to keep you engaged. But it's not a perfect game, so I think it doesn't hit that 9 to 10 buy it range.
I'm right there, man. I think it's a solid game. I'm like this close to saying buy it, but. I look at some of the other the ratings we've given. I'm like, is it a Walking Dead good? No, it's not Walking Dead good. So I think I'm going to give it an 8. I think that's a solid game, top of the solid game range, especially considering the current price for it. It's a great value. The art package is great. Rules are fun. Great to shoot. I think you can't go wrong grabbing one of these. What do you think, Ben?
Oh, I was just looking at your ratings, trying to figure out where to put it. I maybe put it like a 7 or so.
A 7? Okay.
Yeah, just because I like Star Wars a little more, and you put that at 7.5, and
Okay,
so.
yeah, that's fair. So we're all kind of in that 6 to 8, the high end of the solid game range. So there you go. That's X-Men. I think it's a game that really came a long way from what it started at, and as a theme that, like Nick said, is kind of timeless. So that is our review. All right, let's get into viewer and listener Q&A. All right, do you want to do the honors of reading our email?
All right. So Adam Gasek wrote a book to us. Adam Gasek is the famous Domino's pinball designer.
You may know him as one of only 2 folks who ever went 0-5 on the Bro Show.
He practices pinball law. I'm sorry, pizza law. Pizza law. We need a pinball lawyer.
Yeah, we do.
Is that Martha?
I thought that was Martha, yeah.
All right. Here's Adam's question. Are the core Buffalo pinballers, he refers to in parentheses, Kevin, Nick, and Martha.
I would agree with
I think
that.
He means bro core. Because they're...
it's a new type of punk rock.
But Buffalo pinballers, he means the stream.
Yeah.
Satisfied with the current performance of the rotating 4th member of the team. And by that, the rotating member is Rob or Jay, right?
Or Jeff.
Yeah. He doesn't get on there enough.
Mm-hmm.
Is there an analytical method to determine which 4th bro, Jay, Jeff, or Rob, will join the team on a weekly basis? Do you determine based on strength? Let's ask. All right, we'll finish this. Do you determine based on strength of the potential 4th bro on a particular machine? Parentheses, probably not, or Jay would never get chosen.
Good point.
Or do you just ask all of them and the first to respond gets chosen? Or perhaps a 3-way paper, rock, scissors match to determine it? I am more curious about this than about anything else in my life.
Life's good up at Domino's HQ.
Well, let's give this question the answer it deserves. So let's put some real thought into it. Kevin, what do you say?
All right, so
the first part of this,
the ongoing from the beginning, it was always Jay and Rob would alternate weeks because apparently they're too busy to come play pinball. One of them can't make it every week. So they switch off every week. But the two of them were so unreliable, we had to tag in a third bro who was totally reliable, who would always show up whenever we needed him, and that was Jeff. So he's an official bro. But it's still kind of the core too. Jeff or Jay and Rob switch back and forth, and when they can't make it, then we call in Jeff, right?
That's it. That's how the system works.
That's how it works.
I mean, ideally, the best show is when Rob and Jay are on the same show together because it's just like oil and water, and they love to fight each other.
Oh, yeah.
So that's when Rob is most vocal. When Jay does something stupid, Rob lets him know. It's a great formula.
Yeah, we need to make that happen more often, but yeah, that's how it happens. All right, we got a couple questions from Discord. From Destroyer of Worlds, he says, which manufacturer is the most reliable? And then there was a follow-up question from Fugel. He says, current or historical? So I think we can answer that for current manufacturers and for manufacturers who are no longer with us.
All right, so current, I think, I've heard spookies are unreliable, so that's easier for me to identify the one that's just very.
Ben, a former owner of one.
Ben's
agrees.
former owner. Operators have told me this. We've seen it with, unfortunately, the Domino's pinball machine. No knock on Spooky. They've accomplished a lot, but they're just unreliable.
Yeah.
Then you got what's left, Jersey Jack right now, and then Stern.
Don't forget Highway.
Oh, Highway's less reliable, I think, than Spooky because out of the box they shipped a completely broken game. I think you can at least get 100 plays on a Spooky machine before it breaks. You're lucky if you get 8 on Highway's Alien. So.
Oh, and what about Dutch Pinball?
Dutch Pinball, the worst. Man, I'm doing this wrong. Dutch Pinball can't even ship a working game, right?
Right.
Or a game, I don't know.
Yeah.
So they're the worst. Stern and JJP, probably the same. I have more experience with Stern. Stern, I've had issues right out of the box, but typically once you fix those kind of annoying instances, they're very reliable. I mean, that's been my experience. Now with the spike system and the node boards, I don't know. I'm a little worried as an operator and probably future owner of a game. And then we don't have our Jersey Jack games yet, so we can't really speak to that.
Yeah. I mean, early Wizard of Oz has had issues with light boards and things like that. I mean, you own both Hobbit and Wizard of Oz.
I've owned both Hobbit and Wizard of Oz. My Wizard of Oz, I replaced one light board, which was covered under warranty. It's a fairly newer one of the Ruber. I don't know exactly what light board.
Okay.
On my Hobbit, I actually had... there's some fixes like the ramp flaps and things that are well known that I had to fix. And then actually there was a weird problem where the light boards would fill, and we had replaced every single light board in the machine to fix it. But that was a rare problem.
But they covered you.
They covered
wow.
it, and they were great about it. And but I mean, I think most of the games I've had, there's been some little problem. Like I've had some node boards on Stern.
Yeah.
Spooky probably the most problems. Best games I had are the ones I bought off of John Barsh because the guy knows how to maintain a game.
But John Barsh games are the most reliable of the modern manufacturers.
Reliable game by game that John Barsh has had in his collection.
All right, what would you say from a historical perspective? Say like 80s, 90s.
Hard to know because you never I haven't been in the hobby that long to really have bought these things when they're new. So the ones that you're buying are ones that have, if they've been in the hands of a collector that knows what they're doing and they've really taken care of them, that's a different story than if you've got ones that maybe they've had some damage and things have been kind of fixed halfway and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would think the common perception is that Bally Williams is the most reliable of like the 80s, 90s. And then, maybe Data East, then maybe Gottlieb. But, it's hard to know. We weren't their operating machines when they came out of the box. And, I mean, Williams tend to hold up now, so that speaks well to what they probably did back in the day. And actually, for as much as, like, Bruce Nightingale does not like Gottlieb System 3s, he said that those are the most reliable games. So.
Yeah, no, I've never owned anything of the games that are of the 90s, anything other than Bally Williams, so I can't really compare. But
all right, so I think that covers it. All right, a couple Twitter questions, and this is an important question too.
We got from Geeky Husband.
Yeah. Yep. I almost skipped over that one in Discord. He says, do we have any experience? I feel like this was planted by Scott at Penn Stadium. He says, any experience with Penn Stadium lights and how are they?
So as we mentioned earlier, Kevin's going to be getting his Penn Stadium lighting so you can see it in his Swords of Fury. So we haven't had them yet. All I can say, I've seen pictures like on darker games. It seems like it makes total sense. Somebody had posted a picture of Lethal Weapon 3, and that game just looks super dark, and then they put the Pin Stadium and you can actually see it. So I think it sounds like a great product for games that just don't have good natural lighting. Now, modern games with bright LEDs, I don't know if it's going to be as effective, but without a doubt, I think a game that's dark like Swords of Fury is going to be night and day.
Yep, I can't wait to stream that with it on there. So you'll see soon, coming soon to the Buffalo Pinball Twitch channel. All right, on to Twitter. From the Rudy Soup. Is Jay Fairbrother actually the mastermind and president of Buffalo Pinball? This is a rhetorical question, but I look forward to your response. Rudy's always got the good questions.
Jay is a mastermind.
Mastermind of the Meat Mountain.
That is the only time Jay's ever been asked if he's a mastermind of anything. God bless him. No. Jay is the mastermind of the comedic effect, right?
He's the whipping boy, basically.
He's the foil. I don't know. We love Jay, and he Arby's with us on Thursday.
And as
I'm trying to say nice things about Jay.
And as Pinhead pointed out,
ate Arby's.
he picks fuel when he plays Metallica. Do you really need to know more about Jay?
And he roots against us, and he tries to jinx us. So.
And he's the man of excuses. So there you go.
That's Jay.
Watch the bro highlights of Jay on YouTube, and you'll get it. If you've never seen the podcast seen the stream,
so much Jay talk.
Yeah, there's a lot of Jay tonight. People want to know what's up with Jay. So Zach from Straight Down the Middle was asking if we were taking him to Expo or if he was staying home. And I said, you didn't even remember when we went to Domino's.
He doesn't even know what Expo is, guys. He has no idea what that is.
He does not know what Expo is. It's not worth taking him anyways because he won't remember that we even went.
Exactly.
All right. That's your J talk.
All right. So Turbo Graphics 7. Have any of you used an escalator to move pinball machines? Sort of. Jamie, who we've mentioned like 10 times now on this podcast, he's got one. He moved all the games that are in my basement with an escalera, and that thing is magic. I would be terrified to use one because I'm pretty sure I would either die or drop a game. But he's got it under control and can move a game by himself up and down stairs. It's quite amazing. So that's my experience.
That question reminded me of the time when he was moving out of his house and we helped him move all of his machines.
By the way, I should. So people don't know what an escalator is. I'm talking about it like everyone knows, and I had no idea.
Know. Come on.
It's basically a dolly that can climb stairs on its own.
Yeah.
Like, you don't push a button and it does it. You still got to kind of steady it and move it around, but it will grip onto the stair and kind of like move to the next stair on its own. So you could move a pinball machine by yourself.
Yep.
And it's expensive.
So, yeah, at one point, so he had bought it because he owned like 30 plus games and he was moving houses, and he invited us all over to help him move. And the only thing I can remember, I don't think we used the escalator for this, but do you remember trying to move his racing games up the stairs?
Oh, yeah.
Gosh.
So if you've seen the stream, you see the Rush the Rock machines behind me when I play Ghostbusters or Tron. He had two, I think they were Daytona USA machines that didn't separate at all. They didn't come apart. Like trying to shove these things up his stairs. This is not escalator related at all, but this is the memory it triggered. It was just like, I remember Nick like almost panicking because he was going to die. It was it was pretty nightmare inducing. So do you have any experience with an escalator?
I don't. My basement, the stairway turns like 90 degrees halfway down. I'm curious if it would be narrow enough that you could use it in that kind of situation. But
I don't know.
I don't know.
But
Jamie should know.
Jamie's the
or John.
master.
John's usually operating it. All right, let's move it on.
All right.
From Rubber Ducks or Yellow, is Anthem Rudy Soup as devastatingly irresistible in real life as he is online? He's really charming. And honest to God, he's got a twinkle in his eye when I met him at Pinburg, which now that I think about it, is probably why he's wearing the sunglasses in the intro.
Yeah, he's got that.
He's
twinkle
being
all the
modest.
time. Yep. All I can say to that is I roomed up with Rudy Soup at Summer Games Done Quick. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, let's move on.
Moving on. All right, that's gonna do it for this episode. Let's wrap it up with some ways you can follow us if you don't already. Check us out on social media. A great way to do that for this month is you can go to bit.ly/BPWinOCT. So BP Win October. I think Buffalo Pinball Win October. And all lowercase. That will get you to the Gleam campaign that we're running, where if you follow us on all our social media, retweet a post, things like that, we're giving away a Buffalo Pinball Play Angry shirt. We're giving away some stickers, and we're giving away a Buffalo Pinball lapel pin, all for just following us on social media. If you haven't, even if you already do follow us, you can still enter. So go to that link. It'll be in the description of the video if you're watching. It'll be in the show notes of the podcast if you're listening. Check it out. Hit those links. Get entered to win, and that's a great way to follow us. So you can email us at talkpinball@gmail.com. Be sure to follow the Twitch channel. It's our main way of getting our content out. You can also subscribe to our Twitch channel. If you've never subscribed to our Twitch channel, they've extended a promotion they're calling September. It's going through October 18th. So if you're hearing this through that before then, and you've never subbed to the channel, you can subscribe. It's normally $5 a month, $2.50 for the first month, and we get 100% of that, $2.50. Baby.
Which, by the way, I just want to thank all of our subscribers who are listening to this.
Yes.
It really matters, your generosity. With the opportunity to go to Expo, there's a cost associated with that. One of the big costs is that Kevin and I had to buy additional equipment to do the stream of the Jersey Jack reveal, which was over $400 worth of equipment. And, because we have people who are subscribing to the channel and who donate, that was something that we were able to do. And it was an easy decision for us to make to go to Expo.
That's a gun case
Kevin's
we had to buy
Kevin's showing the case.
To take the tripods and streaming gear is going to go in this because we have to check it on an airplane.
Yeah. So thank you guys. Everything helps, and you never know when we're going to need to use those funds when something fails or we get an opportunity to travel somewhere and do a stream. So thanks so much.
And there's like 5 other boxes of stuff over there. So awesome. So, and while you're at it, why don't you talk about the Patreon?
Speaking of which, so Patreon was started for everybody, but some people wanted other ways to donate to the stream, and hence we started Patreon. Patreon's a way that you can sign up and you can donate as little as $1 a month to Buffalo Pinball. That supports this podcast. It supports our stream. If you donate at the $5 level, you'll get the option of voting on what game we review each month. So the supporters at that level, the Patreons at that level, chose X-Men. So thank you guys for that. So consider checking that out. That's just patreon.com/Buffalo Pinball. It'll take you 5 minutes. You sign up, if even $1 is meaningful to us, and it's just a way to show that you appreciate what we do by just taking 5 minutes out of your day. We get a whopping $1 a month, but it adds up, and we appreciate it, guys.
If everybody pitched in a buck, it's one of those situations.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, so huge thanks to Ben Crane for joining us on the podcast, and thanks for figuring out why the remakes do not feel like the original machines. And hopefully it'll lead to a solution for everybody.
I hope so. Yeah, it's still a little bit of a controversial area, but I think it's at least some reason they're different.
Yeah, go to Pinside, check out the thread, and you just look for the one with the flames on it. That's the one.
Kevin and I are brave enough to ask the hard questions.
We are. All right, guys. Until next time, we will see you later.
Have a good one.